Hello, welcome back to another podcast. I haven't done one of these in a very long time, actually. You see, the last podcast episode I've done was all the way back in October 2023, and everybody's been wanting me to do another episode since. So, I figured, why not? Let's make that episode. So that's what I'm doing today. Based and this is all based on what the frick just happened in the last few days. This is gonna be a deep dive on what the heck happened. We're gonna take this. The story begins on Friday. So, on Friday, I get up as usual. Well, I actually woke up at like 12 o'clock on, I think, that night or that day. So I didn't have a lot of time to do whatever I wanted, unfortunately. So I got up that day, had some food. What food did I have? Because I know we didn't have milk, so I couldn't have cereal. Actually, no, I think I was out of cereal at that time. I think all I had was freaking. I don't even remember what I ate. But it wasn't much. Oh yeah, I think I remember. I think I had soggy French fries because I didn't have much food at all that night. So yeah, great start to the weekend, I guess. Shut up, notification. Sorry, I got a notification in the middle of the podcast. You won't see this if you're listening to this through Spotify or any of the other platforms, but you only see that on YouTube because I upload these to YouTube as well. I got to really upload them to Spotify though. It's gonna take some time because I have multiple episodes I need to upload to it. Anyways, I eat my soggy French fries, and then I get ready for work. Now, on Friday, when I get to work, we check reservations, and it's displayed that today's going to be a slow night. And I was exactly right. So, yeah. So, I guess me and my friend, which we're going to call Pikachu in this podcast, to not leak anyone else's names, we're just sitting here, bored out of our minds, losing our brain cells slowly. That's not the worst part. The worst part is not on Friday. Not at all. In fact, a night like that would be a blessing to have rather than what I'm going to get into later in the podcast. But it was a slow night. We ended up probably getting out around like 8:30 or something like that. And yeah, I got home, and then I met our new dog, because we do have a new dog. Her name is, well, she's got 3 names actually, because no one knows what the frick she should be called. Her main name that everyone is supposed to call her is Mika, but my sister calls her Mama, and I just don't know why we can't use her original name, which was Willow to begin with. And then I don't remember what my dad called her, so she's been called 4 different names. So, whatever the dog's name is, we met her. But because she was fresh out of surgery, because she got fixed, we had to gate off the area from the rest of the dogs and to make sure that she didn't reopen her stitches or whatever. So there always had to be someone in the room watching her. Actually, there still is. I'm still watching her right now as I'm filming this. Because I'm actually not sleeping in my room as I'm filming this. I'm actually going to be downstairs in the game room because that's where she's staying. But on Friday night, there had to be 2 people in the room sleeping. Because you had one person, which was our stepmom, my stepmom, which we call Husky, was sleeping on the big couch. She asked me to sleep on the littlest couch in the entire world. I'm not even kidding. It is shorter in length than me, which means I have to cram myself to sleep. Which you can already tell this is not going to work very well. So I'm sitting here trying to take a nice sleep. I didn't end up falling asleep until 4 in the morning. That's how bad it was. And I ended up getting only 3.5 hours of sleep. So both the positioning of my body and the amount of hours of sleep is one of the contributors to whatever bullcrap we're going to get to talk about on Saturday. But there was so many things that went wrong on Saturday. Now, I wake up at 7:30 in the morning to take out the dogs. Didn't end up falling back to sleep because that couch kind of sucked and I was not happy about that sleep. So I ended up just chilling for a couple hours, playing a game called Ice League Hockey. And then when that time came, I got ready for work. Now, the first thing that went wrong is whenever I gathered my stuff, I actually, for the first time ever, forgot to bring my work shirt. So I'm like, well, frick, gotta go to the bin where all the shirts are and grab a shirt from there. See, I usually don't forget stuff like that because that's actually only out of me working at the restaurant I work at for like how many years? Not years, months. I worked there for over 10 months. And that is the first time I've ever forgotten my own shirt. Ever. So, it's a rare occasion when that happens. So I'm like, frick, man. I'd never forgot my shirt before. So I'm sitting here pacing around, trying to look around for a shirt. And when I eventually do find one, I'm in relief. I'm like, oh goodness, glad that's over. Now I can finally prep my station. So then the day continues as usual. And then at 5:30, of course, my friend usually arrives. Ended up arriving, I believe, a little bit later than that. But she arrives. But she didn't get to stay long because of an illness. And because at 7:30 she had to leave because of an illness, which was unfortunate. That just happens. And the worst part is we were still busy. So I'm like, I have to hold down the fort somehow. So what I ended up having to do was activating a thing called adrenaline rush mode. What the frick is adrenaline rush mode? It means I move 1,000 times faster than I normally do. Just because we were busy as frick. Like, for real. Now, keep in mind, I also forgot to mention this, because of the fact that I didn't have a nice sleeping place, and because I didn't get a lot of sleep, and because I was freaking crammed up into a ball because of how much room I had to sleep, my legs started hurting. So I'm like, frick, I'm going to be in here for a long night. I remember saying that before Pikachu left. She told me, don't say that. Well, guess what? I should have kept my freaking mouth shut, because guess what? We got a freaking horrible night that night. Because then my legs started hurting, so I had to try to ignore that. As I pummeled my way through tickets with adrenaline rush mode. And once we got to about like maybe 9:30. Well, actually, there was this one dude who kept returning his steak because he said it wasn't cooked the right way. Well, that's the way the chef cooked it, and that's what you're supposed to get. Like, genuinely, I don't get it. I legit don't get it. It's literally what you asked for. If you ask for a medium rare steak, you are gonna get a medium rare steak. That's legit what he asked for, and he comes back, and then the food comes back twice saying it's not cooked to whatever medium rare plus means, whatever the frick that is. I don't know why people like to pick things in between medium rare and medium, or whatever that means, but it's actually crazy. Like, but it's actually crazy how they just want to cook it 2 minutes longer, but not medium. Like, come on, man. Or however longer it is. I don't run that station. I'm on Expo / Food Runner, depending on who we have. So then, on that same night, around 9 o'clock, we finally get the call to start cleaning up. But it's not over yet. Because we were still serving a couple of more customers, trying to get stuff out. But then, at 9:40, a freaking four-top shows up, meaning I have to suffer with leg pain even longer than normal. And I'm like, I'm gonna die. I'm legit going to die. And you won't believe what this table freaking ordered. They ordered nothing but crab soup. Nothing but freaking crab soup. And I'm the one who pours multiple crab soups. They literally ordered 6 of them in 3 different ticket windows. For some reason, they even counted as entrees and skipped that. Like, holy frick, dude. Get something reasonable. So I'm sitting here making crab and be like, holy frick, this guy just ordered freaking 6 crab soups for his table of 4. Why? Just why? And then at 10 p.m., which we should have been home. I should have been home by then. At 10 p.m., they ordered desserts. They ordered one of every freaking dessert they had on the menu, so that was a pain to do. Especially the upside down pineapple cheesecake, because freaking pineapple slides when you freaking cut a knife into it. I don't believe it. Why we have a cake that does that? It's so stupid. And there's also another cheesecake that we haven't served in freaking days. The cinnamon roll cheesecake. Someone please order it. Like, it's actually genuinely stupid how people are only ordering one cheesecake. We have two. Use them. Not to mention, literally no one ordered. I don't think anyone ordered a single freaking thing of ice cream that day. Actually, you know what? I think they ordered one thing, a double scoop of ice cream, which was let me get into that, actually. You want to know how much of a pain it is to make the freaking ice cream? It's a serious pain because the freezer is negative 10 degrees, which means it's not going to come out properly because it's too cold for it to turn into a liquid and then freeze together into a ball. No, you can't do that. Picture grabbing a scoop and trying to pick it out of dirt. Well, actually, maybe not dirt. I would say sand. It would fall apart. Unless if you compact it. That's exactly the same way the ice cream was. But we don't compact it because we will try to make it close to a sphere as possible. So what I ended up doing is freaking waiting for it to thaw out a teeny bit so that I at least was warm enough to where I could just scoop it out and have that liquidy kind of thing, but not completely liquid. You know how liquids just shape it together, whatever it means. So yeah, we barely served any of that. But things were still horrible because now that we were done serving everything, I was still ending up cleaning this and that because it was Saturday. We were cleaning up for the freaking weekend, which we should have done that freaking days ago or hours ago because of the stupid table at freaking 9:40, we ended up not being able to do that. We also had a six-top sometime at like 9:20, 9:15, or it was 9:15. I remember that now. So that's why I didn't clean up before that. Like, generally, like, I don't understand why people want to eat out at 9 o'clock at night. Dude, be normal like everyone else and just pick a time like 6 p.m. That's 7 p.m. Like, dude. Seriously, the first 2 hours of service are actually the worst the 2 hours of service that don't get any customers. And that's literally any time before 6 p.m. It's 4 to 6. Once it's 6, it starts to pick up. But things didn't go right at all, even at the end. Because guess what? You see, I was purposely trying to clean for a longer period of time to see if anyone was going to be off at the same time as me so that I could have a ride, because my friend Pikachu doesn't like it when I don't have one, which is reasonable-ish. I mean, it's a mile and a half, but then again, it's freaking annoying after several hours, especially with leg pain. Well, that backfired on me. I actually made it worse on myself, because there was no chance of me getting a ride that night, because they were still working and it was 10:30. So I was able to leave. So basically I had no choice but to walk that night, leaving at 10:30 p.m. Tired, in pain, felt like I wanted to die. So I left. And because I was so tired, I was walking half the speed that I normally walked. So instead of it taking 30 minutes to get home, it took a whole hour. So I didn't end up getting home till 11:30 at night. So at 11:30 at night, I got home, ate something, because I haven't eaten anything since I had French fries or I think I had chicken tenders at like 4. So I ate something at around like as soon as I got home, and that meal lasted till like 12 in the morning. Stayed up for like 1 more hour, and then went to sleep on that same couch that I slept on the night before. But I didn't even care how small that couch was, because I was like, thank goodness I don't have to walk on my painful legs for the rest of the night. I get to sit here and chillax. It's like, holy frick, we did it. The misery is over. So I ended up sleeping for a long time, an actually long time. I woke up at probably about 1 o'clock. I think that's when I woke up that day. My leg still kind of hurt when I woke up that morning because of the cramped position I was in, but not as much as it did, especially when I was walking home for an hour. So, yeah, pretty crappy weekend. So, I wake up on Sunday, and I'm thankful I don't have to do anything. So I woke up and spent the entire day playing Astroneer, which is a very fun game. I recommend you play it. And I managed to clear both Kalidor, or I managed to both activate the cores of Kalidor and Visania in the game, which are the 3rd and 4th planets in the entire system in terms of difficulty-wise. There's 7 planets total. So I was like about maybe halfway done. Of course, we had to deal with the bull crap of taking out Mosley a million times because he was on some stupid drug that made him pee everywhere in the freaking house. I have no idea why there's a drug that makes him pee more. Just to help with his ears. And the worst part is he's a lab. Labs usually drink a lot of water and have to pee more often than anything. That combined with that freaking pill or drug, whatever he had, freaking screwed us over. I literally had to get up off the chair multiple freaking times a day just to freaking take him out 15 times a day. So yeah, Sunday was about me just playing Astroneer and freaking taking that dog out 15 times a day. I ended up getting a steak that day, though, as well. I still have it in the fridge. I need to eat it. I'll probably eat it soon. Hopefully I don't forget about it, because it's actually a $60 steak. Because it's a filet mignon plus. I think it's a bigger version of a filet mignon. I forgot what it was called. So yeah, then I had to sleep on that couch once more to transition into Monday, which is the second of 2 days I get off, which I'm actually still awake from that wake up. It's actually Tuesday when I'm recording this, but it's early Tuesday, like 12 o'clock in the morning kind of Tuesday. So it's still considered the same wake up as in wake up period. You'll understand what that means if you're in the military, how there's different wake ups is a different day. That's kind of the same way with me, where I just wake up, I still consider it one day until I sleep and wake up in the next, and just continue the next day, I guess. So it's the same wake-up cycle as the story I'm talking about next. It's basically Monday. Monday, I got up. We had to take our dogs to the groomers to get them groomed. Well, 2 of the 3. Because we have 3 dogs again. So we took Maverick and Mosley. We took Maverick, unsurprisingly, but Mosley, he hasn't been to the groomers for a while. So we went back and, yeah. He got groomed, so then we ended up we also had to deliver our sister's charger to her work because she forgot it somehow. But that's because it's more important for her to have a charger than it is for me. Because for her, she doesn't have the option to walk home from work. Because it's farther than my work. For me, I have that option as a last resort. Which I had to use, unfortunately, on Saturday. So I'm probably going to get stabbed by an oyster knife soon. Because, you know, Pikachu doesn't like it when I walk. But then again, there's always a bright future after a dark day. Hopefully then this week is not going to be crap. But you never know. So on Monday, we ended up delivering the charger. And then after that, we went to, I believe, Wawa. And then we ended up getting off-brand Dipping Dots or polka dot ice cream, along with a giant pretzel that I still have in the fridge as well. So I'm happy about that. Went home. And then basically began filming the YouTuber Tournament 7 video. Got just premiered. And yeah. That day was good. So no matter how crap a weekend may start, just know there's a bright future. And also hope I don't get stabbed by an oyster knife. Well, not literally. They're not literally going to stab me with an oyster knife. I know this is YouTube, so I have to say this. They're not actually going to stab me with an oyster knife. It's just a thing they say because... It's a thing she says because she doesn't like it when I walk. Seriously. Especially in the wintertime. But that was before we really were friends, I guess. I guess I could talk about random things now that I've gotten the weekend out of the way. Let's talk about other interesting moments that happened at work. Let's start with the record for the hottest freaking temperature I ever had to walk in. Because at this time, this was before I even had the ability to get an Uber. Oh yeah, the only reason I didn't get an Uber that night is because my card was fricked. So I couldn't use my card. Back to the weekend topic. On Saturday, the only reason I couldn't Uber was because, again, my card was fricked. I believe I have a new one. I just haven't picked it up yet. I have to go to my bank to get it. So yeah. The hottest temperature I ended up walking home in was when our first boss, we have four different bosses in the history of me working there. It's freaking crazy how we went through 4 bosses in 10 months. That's not normal. And this was when the first boss was around. And the record temperature, well, he likes to send me home at 6 o'clock in the freaking afternoon during the summer because of how slow things were. And the hottest temperature in the heat index scale was 105 degrees. Yeah, it was freaking hot, but not terribly hot. I'd rather be hot than cold because it doesn't hurt to be hot, but it freaking is painful if you're really cold. But then there was a record that I also set for the coldest temperature I walked home in terms of, get this, the heat index for that was only 8 degrees. Now, if you're living in Canada, it's like, that's nothing, or freaking Greenland, but for us, we don't get 8-degree weather often, even in the winter. And that's actually that was the second coldest day, I believe. I think this happened this year, actually. Yeah, it happened this year. It was the second coldest day of the year, of this year so far. We still got December, but I doubt it's going to be that cold in December. The actual coldest day, I didn't walk home on this day, so thank gosh. The heat index was on -1 degrees. What the frick kind of temperatures are we getting in Maryland? Don't ask. Especially if we're on the Eastern Shore. We're supposed to be warmed by a freaking ocean, and yet that doesn't even do anything for -1 degrees. Imagine how cold it was in freaking Baltimore. It's probably even worse. Well, it turns out I looked it up, and it was actually warmer in Baltimore than it was in the Eastern Shore. What the frick kind of logic is that? So yeah, I went to take out trash that night because I was at work. I was like, I'm too lazy to get a jacket on. Yeah. I was an idiot. I decided to frickin' just run for it in -1 degrees temperature with a short sleeve shirt on. Dude, I was so freaking stupid that night. I cannot believe I've done that. Yeah. Me in January of this year, idiot. Pure idiot. Do not do what I do. Like, I didn't want to put my coat on because all I really needed to do was throw a bag of trash away. Which is what I did. Oh yeah, now let's talk about the number of weird animals we found. Oh. 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 Oh yeah. Let's talk about that next. This next segment of this podcast is called Bugs. The frickin' bugs we found everywhere. You won't believe the first... Now, when I first started working there, literally 1 week after I began working there, I assume it's because there was a freaking hole in the wall, which we didn't know about until for freaking 3 months later. I think actually 4 months later. There was these little freaking... There was hundreds of these black little maggots just swimming on the tile floor. I'm like, what in the frick? What in the actual frick? And yeah, it turned out there was a hole in the fricking wall. And those things were living inside of the wall. So they had to freaking patch up the hole to get it to stop. And then they tried to keep everything off the floor. And they kept trying to make those bugs die. Eventually they did die. There was this one other time, there was this mouse. Because I also had another coworker. What should I nickname him? We're gonna nickname him Doe. We're just gonna nickname him Doe. I don't know why. Because... Do you want to know what stupid stuff he did to try to kill the mouse? He decided to take our blowtorch and try to fricking blowtorch a fricking mouse. It ended up not working for him because he burnt a hole into one of our breadcrumbs containers a bag of breadcrumbs. Because I remember walking in there, I'm like, wait, why is there a hole in the breadcrumbs? This was in our storage unit, which we had outside. And I'm like, hey, yo, what the fudge? Yeah, that was a little stupid. The next thing we had... I think I know how that mouse died, actually. It ended up drowning in a random bus tub we had on the floor that it was hard to access. Our dishwasher at the time, which we're going to call him Buddy, because I think that's what I have him saved under in my phone. He literally found a mouse dead in his freaking bus tub. What a way to kill a mouse with freaking water. Just freaking went in the water, drowned, and died. Just crazy. Oh. Another time, our bartender found a dead baby mouse, and asked me specifically to freaking throw it away. Because no one else was going to. So yay for me. Freaking toss that. Another reoccurring issue we've been having is flies. There are freaking too many of them. They fly everywhere. And for some reason someone decided that they wanted to freaking hang a fly trap, like those sticky fly traps, above an area where food's supposed to be. I have no freaking clue I don't know why someone came up with the idea to do that, but it's disgusting just looking upwards and there's a fly thing. I need to take it down, bro. I really need to take it down. My friend keeps asking me, Pikachu, no, she begs me to take it down, which I probably should take it down because it's not safe. It's literally not safe. I don't know who came up with the idea of putting it up there because it's been up there since I began working there. There's literally hundreds of dead flies up there. Everyone talks about, hey, it shouldn't be up there. But no one does anything about it. I'm about to do something about it. I'm actually genuinely about to do something about it. I can't look upwards and look at flies any longer. It's disgusting. It's legit disgusting. Who would freaking want flies just sitting up there? And always thinking about the random chance that if you're making food, for a customer, it's gonna fall in the food, and then you have to redo the whole dish. It's genuinely dumb. What's the next? We also had another mouse that apparently died outside that I decided to take care of myself because no one else would. Because I knew if I didn't do it, no one was going to do it, and that mouse was just going to bloat up and fill up with maggots. So I had to take that out myself. This was actually on Saturday, the same Saturday that I was talking about all the beginning of the video. Or podcast. Yeah, the same Saturday when I had to freaking... Yeah, just a few days ago, actually. Yeah, I had to toss that in the frickin' dumpster to make sure it doesn't maggot everywhere, because that's gross. Considering because that entire week, I ended up no, I think it was actually the week before. I ended up killing 4 cockroaches. Yes, I said freaking cockroaches. No one knows why they were outside just sitting there, but I killed 4 of them. Actually, not really killed them. I killed 1. The other 3 were already dead, and I just needed to toss them out. So yeah, a lot of bugs have a big habit of dying outside. I don't know why, but it's genuinely weird. It's not as weird as the number of times we had to make soup that day. So yeah, generally stupid. And now we can just talk about the amount of employees that we had that just abandoned us. Like, when I first started working there, you had, I guess, 7 people, if I'm correct. You had, which I'm going to nickname old boss, middle, well, I guess it's not really middle anymore. Old boss, semi-old boss, Doe, who am I gonna nickname the other guy? Actually, there was 6 of us. I forgot, there was 6 of us. Yeah, you had me, you had freaking my old boss, you had my semi-old boss, you had Doe. Then I guess the next guy I'm going to call Os. I'm just gonna I'm calling them random names just so I don't leak their names. But Os was our dishwasher at the time, who didn't really last long because he overdosed, and he's hopefully recovered by now. And then of course you had my friend Pikachu, which she wasn't my friend at the time because we didn't really freaking know each other. So we were all just out of those 6. Now, 4 of those people are no longer there. It's just me and Pikachu left in the kitchen. That's it. That's legit it. Because we had one. Because again, Os overdosed, so he couldn't work. Doe got fired by our old boss because he was mad, I assume, at something, and he was slamming stuff. Because he was angry because of all the orders. Our old boss left because he moved to South Carolina for some reason. Why? I don't even know why. I don't even know why I would have want to move to South Carolina to begin with. So, especially, he was near the border of, I believe, of South Carolina and Georgia. So, yeah. Expect there to be a lot of Atlanta sports fans down there. Then there was only 3 originals left at that time. Then in, I believe, February or something like that. I believe it was February. Our semi-old boss decided to quit because he didn't get a raise for 6 years. And because he worked a lot of hours. So generally, whenever you're a management at that job, it's going to take a lot of hours out of you. So yeah, and that, my friends, is how it's just me and Pikachu left. Now, of course, there's still some of the newer employees which also came and go as well because we had Buddy, who ended up leaving 3 times, actually. The first time was before I even began working here. The second time was because he didn't show up for work for 3 days. And the third time is because he switched to another job. So, yeah. He's the first person I've heard of. I guess if I could say this, because he didn't actually ask to quit, he technically got fired 3 times. Technically. How the frick do you get fired from the same job 3 times? I don't know. He's a nice guy, though. Then we have what I like to call Rockstar Man. That's what I'm going to call him in this. Him and I didn't get along whenever he didn't know what the frick he was doing. I mean, sometimes I mess with other people around, but he doesn't take he takes my jokes a little too badly and gets agitated at him for no freaking reason. I'm not. And then he bullies me for not swearing, which is something everyone's doing for no reason in Discord. See, the only person who's thankful that I don't swear is Pikachu, who is actually trying to copy me now. And generally, oh yeah, I also forgot. Rockstar Man's the same guy who told me I didn't know what the frick I was doing when I was washing dishes. How the frick do you know any better? Neither of us were the best. I was the second best dishwasher out of the time that I worked there. Now, dishwasher was my backup position in case if we didn't get a dishwasher. Which, yeah, and at the time, I was actually mainly the dishwasher. I was the best because the best dishwasher is actually our current dishwasher who got hired, I believe, a couple weeks ago. So yeah, you don't have to worry about doing dishes for minutes upon minutes upon minutes, which, even though I was the second best, it still, after service, took about a couple of hours, about like maybe an hour to finish up all the rest of the stuff. So yeah. One night I decided I was going to freaking I was going to build a fort out of dishes by rinsing all the dishes first. Like, my goal is, at the same time of me building a fort, I was still doing what I was supposed to do. Because I had to first rinse the dish, then run it through the dishwasher. That's genuinely what I did, but I can't do both the dishwasher and rinse at the same time all the time. It's impossible. Because sometimes I think that it should be like a 2-man job. We have one putting all the dishes away, loading it into the dishwasher, taking it out and putting it away, and the second person just scrubbing all the crap off of the dishes and stuff, and throwing away the food that the servers forget to throw away, because there are times that happens. Speaking of food that they forget to throw away, They have this terrible habit of freaking throwing food in a hand washing sink. And because of that, now we can't even use it properly without it flooding with water. Because they've managed to clog it up. Thank you guys. Thank you, whoever did that. So, yeah. So, back to the boss's topic. My first boss we had, he may be my dad's best friend, but he's freaking mean. He screams at you if you do something wrong. One time. I mean, especially the beginning. Because I didn't know what the frick I was doing at the beginning. He expected me to run food when I didn't even know what tables were what. Then he got mad whenever a cake got screwed. Which sometimes was my fault because I forgot to heat the knife up, but other times it was because the cake just apparently looked too... Like, oh yeah. Or, that my first boss's wife worked there too, and she's even more picky about stuff. She always tells us, clean this, clean that, every time we serve something. Like, we know what we're doing. If you touch something gross, wash your hands. We know that concept, but to literally clean every 2 minutes is ridiculous. Like, you should clean not all the time, but just enough to where it's not going to be unsanitary. And then, of course, we had the world's weirdest cutting board system, which I looked it up, and it turns out some of the things that our restaurant does is different than what the web says. For example, the white cutting boards, online it says you're supposed to use it for dairy products, but what we actually use them for is for everything. You also have other cutting, and I believe a natural kitchen's supposed to run. See, there was different colored knives, different colored cutting boards, different colored scoops. But for the knives and scoops and stuff like that, it didn't even matter what color handle was. You just cut it. But I generally believe there was a reason it was colored. I believed that same system that was used for the cutting boards was supposed to go with the knives as well. Red-handled knives for meat, blue-handled knives for seafood. But we never did that, and we still don't do that today. I don't know why we don't actually follow the actual thing that you should follow. Like, I generally... No, we're not doing what we're supposed to do. It's just that nobody cares. So we are forced to not do what we're supposed to do. So we had the white cutting board for everything, for some freaking reason, and not dairy. We had a red cutting board for meat. Actually, when I first started working there, they didn't have a blue cutting board, which was essential for seafood, in which we had seafood on the menu. So I assume we freaking used the white cutting board for freaking seafood the entire time. Until we got a blue cutting board later on. There was also a brown cutting board for cooked meat. That's normal. The red cutting board for raw meat, that's normal. Yellow for chicken and poultry, normal. Green for vegetables, that's normal. But we didn't have a purple cutting board. Purple cutting boards are used for allergen products and stuff like that. Things that cause as allergies or are segregated from the rest because of allergies. So yeah, that's what the purple ones were for. but we just never used one. I think that's the only cutting board we actually didn't use. So yeah, it was a weird system for coloring. It's not typically supposed to be used. But what do I know? I'm just a freaking expo. It's not like it's literally haven't been using everything for literally. I haven't even worked there for a year yet, so. Well, almost, because that anniversary is coming around June, late June. So yeah, our freaking first boss. Yeah, screamed at us for everything weird. The second boss, he was a little nicer, and he got mad at times that were reasonable, like for times where we almost screwed up food or sent it to the wrong table. Those are reasonable. So yeah, he was pretty cool. Our third boss, he was actually a temporary boss because he was from another, because we didn't technically have a head chef yet. Because he was back up from another restaurant owned by the same owner. He was very nice. But he had no idea how to make certain things. At first, but he knows how to make them now, but he's gone now. Now we have our fourth boss, who is the same way. He's actually smarter than the rest of them, though. Because now, instead of freaking waiting for crab soup to heat up in a hot well, and which takes forever because hot wells are not designed to heat up stuff. It's designed to keep things warm. So we now preheat it up into a pan and then let it sit there. So yeah, those were our four bosses. Oh, I think I have one more topic to talk about. The weird adventures that my first boss did, because our first boss did decide to take us home before. Multiple times. But some of the times were weird. Now, there is one major problem, is that he smokes freaking weed in the freaking car with the windows closed, trying to choke us to death, along with cigarettes. Yeah. When I told Pikachu that, she was concerned. But I told her after the first bosses moved to South Carolina. And I would be concerned, because that could actually screw your lungs up because of secondhand smoke. So what I ended up having to do was I had to crack open the window so I could at least freaking breathe and not damage my lungs. Because these two idiots in the front of the car decided, hey, let's smoke weed and cigarettes at the front of the car. Those of you who don't know what weed smells like, it's gross. Weed smells disgusting to me. And so does cigarettes. Two things I don't want to smell in a vehicle, I smell. Man, that was freaking weird. Yeah, there were times where he was supposed to take. There was a time on New Year's Day, or not New Year's Day, New Year's Eve. Oh my freaking gosh! New Year's Eve was the second busiest service we've ever had that I worked there for, and it was a pain because again, our first boss decided he wanted all the salads where our expo station was, which nowadays we put it on a side rack, and once it's ready to go out, we send it out. So there was no room for salads. Oh yeah, when I tried to make cocktail sauce to prepare for the night, I got yelled at for not cleaning by his wife. Dude, we don't have time to clean especially on a night where there's 200 people in reservations. Like, come on, man. We need to be ready. They don't want us to be ready. They want us to struggle, which we did struggle that night anyways. Well, at least that's what it seemed like, but seriously. And the only reason why it kept going on longer is because the owner of the restaurant was still accepting walk-ins when he wasn't supposed to. He technically wasn't the owner of the restaurant. He was just the man that was in charge of that particular restaurant. Because each restaurant, of course, has a different person in charge. So yeah, I don't know who any of the other ones are because I haven't met them. Unless if it's the same ones, but yeah. So yeah, on New Year's Eve, I didn't get to leave home until 12 because he decided to get drunk and keep drinking and drinking and drinking until his wife had to eventually pull him out. Holy frick. So yeah, I just sat there and sat there and sat there. Ended up watching the ball drop from work instead of with my family. And it was stupid. It was actually stupid. I genuinely don't know why I had to do that. On the next day, I just literally chilled because it was New Year's Day. It was Sunday, so we were off, and I was like, yes, freedom. Then we had the one time where his family had a family emergency. Oh, this story is a great one to tell because because of a family emergency, instead of driving me home, he drove me to some random person's house. I literally sat in the car for 30 minutes until I was told, "Hey, you could come in." Well, frick. Well, I guess I literally had no choice, so I was sitting inside this random person's house that I had no freaking idea who was. Just sitting there. Waiting to figure out what was going on. I had 2 people call me saying, "Hey, when are you gonna get home?" "I'm gonna try to get home. I'm waiting on this guy to figure out what the frick's going on." So I sit there. Now, of course, these people were nice people, so it wasn't too bad. But I'm like, I don't know these people. It's kind of weird that I just sat in this random person's house for until 12 in the morning, and when I eventually got home, I'm like, well, I'm headed to bed. I'm gonna try to forget everything that just happened and move on. That was a freaking weird night, I swear. Yeah, at that point, it would have been faster if I walked home, because it only takes 30 minutes to walk home. Normally, not on that other Saturday when that I was talking about because of my tiredness. But yeah, I basically talked about everything I'm going to talk about in this podcast. If you guys want to see another podcast, spam the like button on this video because this was a request that I got for over a year and a half. And now it's finally here. Well, it was because you already watched it now if you made it this far. Or listen to it on Spotify or whatever you're listening to it on once I get that rolled out on those platforms. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you subscribe and we'll see you guys next time.